That's right, guys. No matter who wins this election, Chicago is already making history. Two women are going head-to-head to become the next mayor. Both are African American. One of them is openly gay, and both say they have what it takes to turn this city around. If you're traveling through O'Hare and plan to catch the Blue Line, you'll have to find another way. Starting today, CTA shut down Blue Line service from the Roosevelt station all the way to O'Hare for some desperately needed repairs. The city of Chicago is still mourning the death of 19-year-old Marlene Ochoa. This mural is now a place where her family and friends can drive by and remember her as she was, young and full of life. And now Marlene and her son Giovanni, who was ripped from her womb and died earlier this week, can be together again, memorialized in their community. Jordan, Felicia, we've seen hundreds of people coming and going, officers, detectives, and even mayoral candidate Lori Lightfoot. Right now, as you can see, the line is wrapping around this funeral home as people continue to pour in to pay their respects for a fallen hero. The Hegwish neighborhood decked out in blue ribbons as the community comes together to remember Officer John Rivera. David Reynolds went to high school with Rivera and credits him with saving his life, calling the officer selfless and compassionate. Reynolds says that while other classmates bullied him, Rivera offered his friendship.
He was one of the few friends that noticed that I was alone and suffering.
The 23-year-old was off-duty Saturday night at Chicago's River North neighborhood when police say 3 men approached Rivera and his friends, opening fire. Rivera was shot and killed while shielding his girlfriend and others from gunshots. Among the hundreds of people who came to the funeral, some who never even met the rookie officer, but who say his loss is one felt by the entire city.
I just felt compelled to come see him. It was just so sad, so tragic that he was only 23 years old. And in the way that he was gunned down was just even more tragic and senseless.
He was one of our own here in the community, and it was very sad what happened to him.
2 men are now charged in the deadly shooting. Investigators are still looking for a third suspect. The 3 could face hate crime charges. Investigators believe Rivera may have been targeted for being Hispanic. It's the largest measles outbreak since the 90s. The extremely contagious infection was eradicated in the U.S. in the year 2000, but a movement gaining momentum is leading hundreds of thousands of families to opt out of immunizing their children. The anti-vax movement has been steadily growing, and parents have a wide array of reasons to opt out. Some don't trust government agencies to approve vaccines because they're perceived to be too close to big pharma. Others think breastfeeding a child provides them with enough protection against disease, but perhaps the biggest myth of them all, that vaccines could lead to autism. The CDC says about 900 people have been infected with the measles since the beginning of the year, the worst outbreak so far happening in New York and Washington state. Now, health officials are predicting Chicago to be ground zero for the next major outbreak. Sports in Chicago are a really big deal, but this crowd isn't cheering a local team. Every 4 years, 3.5 billion people from around the world tune in to watch the biggest sporting event, the FIFA World Cup. And this is the biggest match yet. This year, 32 countries are going head-to-head in the World Cup. The tournament puts Chicago on display for what it is, a melting pot where fans from around the world come out to show their colors. This game is between Germany and Mexico.
I love the atmosphere when you have fans from both teams come together. And what you just saw here with the group photo, to me, that's the World Cup right there. You're cheering your team, but you can still get together, talk about the game, and I just love that you have fans from both teams.
Here in the U.S., the popularity of soccer just keeps growing. We're at Cleo's. There's a soccer manager. That's how popular soccer is getting here in the U.S. We pulled up about an hour before the game even started, and there was a line out the door.
Well, we expected that, being Germany versus Mexico in the World Cup.
Germans and Mexicans.
Those are our German fans back there. Every year, we've been a soccer bar, I think about 7 years, and every year it gets bigger and bigger.
This time, the reigning champs fell to Mexico 1-0.
Estás llorando, dime lo que sientes.
No, una pasión que hemos tenido desde siempre y hoy
Hoy aprovechamos de todas las oportunidades, de todo lo que hemos sufrido, de todo lo que hemos fallado. Y hoy se enseñó tanto cómo queremos esto.
¿Hasta dónde piensas que vamos a llegar? ¿Hasta el final?
Podemos ganar a cualquiera que se ponga enfrente de nosotros. Y deberíamos de ganar porque somos buenos. Tenemos las agallas para echarle a todos. Es un día muy lindo.
¡Felicidades!
But the Germans, they were pretty good sports. How do you feel about this loss?
I mean, it's kind of tough. The world champions just went down to a, I guess, hungrier Mexican team. So they wanted it more and they got it.
So let's say hypothetically Germany doesn't make it. Who's your bandwagon team? Because Team USA isn't there, so who would you cheer for?
That's a really tough question.
Mexico.
I say your friend says Mexico. I think that's a great suggestion. But
So we can go with Mexico then. So congratulations to the Mexican team.
it doesn't matter who you're cheering for. Soccer brings everyone together, and in a city like Chicago, which is a melting pot, you have plenty of time to come out, enjoy a game, and see what Chicago's really all about. When you think of a firefighter, you probably think of this. But staying physically fit and saving lives is really physically demanding, starting with the entrance exam. Let's do this.
Come on. Okay, stay behind me. Depending which way hose goes, we're gonna go left or right first. Coming behind the engine, we always wanna help them with the hose if they need.
Okay.
Back four, we have a victim. It's coming out. Follow the hose line out. Take it out, all the way out. Good job, Jen. You saved him.
How do you guys do this?
Come here. Good job, Jen.
Thank you. High five. The gear is heavy. I went in there with not the full gear. How much weight do you guys carry with you when you walk into a burning
80 to 100 pounds.
Wow. I mean, you have to be in top shape to be able to pull all that off.
He's our fitness instructor. He keeps us sharp every day.
If I were to get ready for the exam to become a firefighter, what kind of workouts am I looking at?
The main thing is cardio, because when you put our SCBA on and our mask and we on air, you want to learn how to control your breathing. So with good cardio, that helps you maintain that. And a lot of stretching, because there'll be sometimes you'll be in obstacles that you don't know what's going on, and so you may be bending down on your knees, crawling and stuff like that.
What advice would you give for anyone that's wanting to become a firefighter?
If you like to help people, you're willing to give your life for someone you don't know, and you have that adrenaline and that strength, that's the thing to do.
We've all been there. The big day's coming up and you have the perfect dress, the perfect shoes, and just the right amount of bling. But it's not your wedding. You're just a bridesmaid. And if you're lucky, you're the maid of honor. But what do you do with all that stuff once the wedding's over? We say you trash it.